It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
We're back, and oh boy, we got a good cup of coffee for you this week.
Yes, we do. Last week, we gave you a break from politics. This week, we're getting back in to kind of go over what happened in all the elections, right?
That's right. And when I say we're back, I'm going to tell you right now, America's back. We're going to run back election results, national, state, local, plus a little bit of a tease. We heard the Outlet Mall sold, under contract, going to close. We're not sure, just speculatory, but We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll visit the Bowl, Oasis Amusement Park, boating industry slump. Hey, we got some reminder from local PD. Drives over or get pulled over. So much to unpack. Don't miss it. But first, it's Black Friday sales right here at Slumberland at the Lake.
Sorry, I'm just a bit uncomfortable.
It's okay. What's troubling you?
It's my mattress. It's not comfortable.
It's a good thing you came to Slumberland. As your sleep counselor, I'll help you find the best mattress to solve your sleep issues.
Amazing. I could get used to this.
It's the Black Friday mattress sale at Slumberland. Up to 60% off list. Or save up to $800 on select adjustable mattress sets. Visit Slumberland. Stop stressing and start sleeping.
Some amazing deals to be had right here at Slumberland at the Lake. Black Friday, Thanksgiving.
And we got a new table. I mean, it seems like, we come in each week, we got a new table or a new background because people keep coming and buying things.
That's
here.
right. We love it. Thanks for supporting our friends at Slumberland at the Lake. Because you support them, they can continue to support us and make Cup of Coffee possible. So, hey, if you come into Slumberland and it's because you're watching Cup of Coffee or Lake TV, please make sure you let the staff know, hey, we watch Cup of Coffee, we watch Lake TV, and that's, why we decided to stop in. So, hey, like Chris said in the intro, we gave you a break last week from politics. We record on Tuesday. That was election day. We just felt it was right. We didn't know the results, and we had all kind of had enough politics, right? But boy, what a historic night. Tuesday, November 5th, will go down as President Trump wins the presidential election, and he didn't just win it. He won it in a landslide.
Yeah, every swing state, I believe they considered 7 of the states swing states. He won every one of them. Won the popular vote, more overall votes around the country. So sometimes you can win the presidency, and not win the popular vote because of the way the system works and winning states and stuff. He won everything this time, which is a huge mandate for Trump to go in and do the things he says, that he's been promising for the last 2, 3, 4 years to do. So it looks like he's got the green light. And boy, he's been busy that first week since the election lining things up.
Oh, and you alluded to, he got 312 electoral votes, part of the Electoral College, right? Vice President Harris, 226. Okay, and so you mentioned that sometimes people win the Electoral College and get elected president without even winning the popular vote. That's actually been the case historically, that anytime a Republican candidate has won, the Democrats have actually won the popular vote. President Trump didn't just win the popular vote, and why it's currently still probably being 100% calculated, 3.3 million more people voted for President Trump. And this was by far the most anticipated election in United States history. Vice President Harris spent $1 billion.
And still went into debt.
And went $20 million into debt. And so I don't think this had so much to do anymore with whether or not people liked President Trump, because the information had been overwhelming. I think it had to do with Americans can't live their everyday life. And whether or not you consider yourself a conservative or a liberal, the fact is the majority of Americans have spoken. They don't want litter boxes in classrooms. They don't want girls or boys playing in girls' sports.
Right.
They want to be able to go to the grocery store and put food on the table for their family. And they spoke in overwhelming fashion. And since Election Tuesday, as you see the people that didn't want President Trump elected, they're absolutely losing it. I mean, they are losing their minds. But if we looked at the fact, Hamas has already called for an end to the world in the Middle East. Hey, listen, I mean, let's not downplay that because you're not seeing that anywhere. This is one of the biggest headlines we should have from the last 2 years. Hamas has called for an end to the war in the Middle East. That is insane. Iran-backed Houthis announces ceasefire. Putin says he's ready to work towards peace with Ukraine. All of these foreign affairs that have essentially tripled America's national debt, bankrupt middle-class Americans, not allowed us to respond to a hurricane crisis in our own country. All of those issues essentially are solving themselves in the last week, but people are still not happy. As a matter of fact, you see pharmaceutical CEOs are losing their minds right now.
Well, yeah. Well, they've been gouging Americans for the last 4 years. And, during the whole COVID crisis, they were the ones, telling the hospitals what to do, basically. And so there needs to be a reckoning. There needs to be a cleaning up of the system.
I'm going to be honest. This was the first time that I was excited to watch The View. Because from The View, leading into the election, racists and bigots and idiots, well, then you found out that blacks and Latinos and Amish and gays everywhere voted for Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. So now it's no longer that you're racist and you're bigot and you're fascist. Now we're stripping rights away for women. And now the attacks from the left are being pinpointed towards women who voted for Trump, blacks who voted for Trump. Mm-hmm. They're literally going against their own rhetoric as far as what they claimed Donald Trump and his supporters were. But at the end of the day, I'm going to consider it this, the greatest political comeback in American history, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it confidently. Because for the last 4 years, we've been afraid to say it, but I'm going to say it. America is so back, baby.
Yeah, and I'm so excited about it. And I think we can thank God for that because there were at least two assassination attempts. One that he miraculously survived by turning his head at just the right time, or his head would have been blown off. Grace of God, in my opinion, is the only thing we can rack that up to.
And you also see some of the extreme violence, like against President Trump's granddaughter on Twitter, which, she tweets and stuff, and then people will be calling for hoping she gets shot and stuff. But the crazy thing is, you can already look at the team, the anti-establishment, non-Republican team of talented, qualified individuals that President Trump is already building. And on top of that, looks like we're going to have a real viable potential solution for the border crisis and who he just appointed at the border. I mean, it's
day one, they're already putting the team together. And you mentioned he's crossing borders. It's not just all Republicans. He's brought in RFK, a Democrat, to take over and to try to clean up, the Food and Drug Administration and all that stuff, because that's RFK's, that's his powerhouse place. That's what he really focuses on. And he's going to go in there and probably do a great job cleaning that up as much as you can. But yeah, in every area so far, he is lining up superstars to run different parts of the country. And hopefully we'll get back on track and be doing pretty good. I'm still waiting to see what kind of craziness happens from the left. Sure. If there is, something they've got in store to try to derail, the country and stuff. So, but we'll see.
It'll be interesting, but the American people have spoken, and next week, we're not going to go any further into this, but in what was by far the most celebrated, anticipated, spent, budgeted election in American history, where you had, like I said, illegal immigrants voting, you had states where ID was not required, you had blacks, Latinos, Amish voting at an all-time high. Yep. But 28 million voters are missing from the 2020 election. It couldn't be any more obvious or clear the 2020 election was stolen, and we're going to cover that next week on Cup of Coffee. But hey, we're going to move on.
I did notice it was either an X or something from Elon Musk where he put out a map of the states that Harris won. Every one of those states were a non-ID state, right? Which means non-U.S. citizens could vote, or maybe dead people can vote,
And it's no longer like conspiracy theories. Like, these are facts. You can't hide them anymore. And on top of that, in some of these Senate races where you're seeing late changes to who's winning those, you're seeing more votes casted in these municipalities, in the Senate races, by a large margin than you're seeing for president. And in some cases, you're seeing more votes cast than there are registered voters in those areas.
I'm calling BS on those, and I hope the Trump people go in and
it's no
look at
longer
those.
like just the Trump people. Like, that is the leader of the great American comeback. But now you have so many qualified people that say it's no longer about me, my political affiliation. Like, this is America's last hope.
Yeah.
Right? And at all cost. And you're going to see over the next, I would say over these next couple of months, probably a great pushback, a great resistance. And there's a reason why, as soon as the election was final, there was no longer the rhetoric from our leaders about the bigotry, the danger, the Hitler. Those things were no longer a focus. And so there's something going on. You know, there's no doubt there's something going on. But stay tuned next week as we cover a short look into the 2020 election. But if you look at Governor Mike Kehoe, he won big time, 59.2% over the Democrat Crystal Quaid, who had a lot of support. I mean, she was busy. But one thing that Governor Kehoe has campaigned on, has been promising a lot of Missouri business owners, a lot of developers I've spoken to over the last 6 years, is that his goal is to end Missouri income tax. He wants to become competitive with surrounding states, Tennessee for one, and say, you realize how much a person who retires, whether it's from the state or whatever it is, if you retire in a state that collects state income tax at whatever rate that is, you could move to another state after working your entire life in Missouri and save 3 to 4%. It's a no-brainer. And so that's something that I thought stood out about Mike Kehoe, that, man, if you end the Missouri income tax, that'd be a great thing for Missourians.
Yeah, for retired people in Missouri, for sure.
Especially. All right, another thing, Amendment 3, passed narrowly, and I'm just going to say this, there's a lot of people that disagree with this, but that is a travesty. Whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, this was an evil bill, and it absolutely strips away rights from women, families, as well as parents. And there is no recourse if this stands, as far as botched surgeries, things against doctors in the form of malpractice. There is no recourse. There is no any map that will allow you to sue or to go after medical care and provider. That is what the people voted for, and I don't blame the people, because, again, it's smoke and mirrors. What they sell it to you as is, and for all the people saying that President Trump is taking all these rights away from women, listen, President Trump is Republic, leave it up to the states in regards to that. And so that's a sad one for me, because if this stands, we're going to be looking back at this day as one of the darkest days in Missouri history.
I don't see that one lasting for a whole long time, because I think when it goes into effect and people see what it really is and not what they sold it as, again, smoke and mirrors, I'm guessing Missourians will want to go and change this. But in addition to legalizing abortion and not having any recourse for the women who have abortions, if something goes wrong, they cannot go, go back and get recompense from the health providers. But in addition to that, opponents of this amendment say it establishes the reproductive rights, could also potentially allow minors to receive transgender medical treatments without parental consents, and more and more and more of that stuff. And I think Missourians, if they ever find out what this bill truly is, are gonna be just crazy mad about how this was sold to them.
And another term, you mentioned taking those rights away, because a child, whatever age they believe, is able and capable of making that decision, they would take the child out of the home. So I agree that once people see the totality of what this constitutional amendment leads to, I don't think that all Missourians are going to be as on board as they were when they understand what they were sold when it came to voting.
I agree. And as soon as the Missouri Supreme Court put this on the ballot, millions, tens of millions of dollars came in for abortion rights supporters, to put this campaign on, and it just overwhelmed, I think, the other side. And I think that's basically why it passed. But again, we'll see how long that lasts.
Sure. All right, so sports betting passed in the state of Missouri
by a little,
narrowly, right? I mean, that was an incredibly close race.
I thought that was going to win big. It's got the support of all the pro local sports teams, and everything. So I thought it was going to win big. It just barely passed. I was shocked that the Missouri voters reject the casino at the Lake of the Ozarks. I thought that was a shoo-in.
No.
And they rejected it.
Their side, Bally Sports, and a lot of people involved in pushing for that thought that was a shoo-in, but it failed. It was also close, 52% no, 48% yes. And when I looked on Facebook, a lot of people locally were pretty upset about Lake Ozark Mayor, Mayor Newberry. He was incredibly for this casino, the Osage River Casino with Bally Sports and Osage River Gaming, and he had sent a slew of text messages endorsing it and reminding people to vote. And I think the people, especially in Lake of the Ozarks, when you look at the Lisa Thomas and Vernetti state rep battle here just a month ago, I think people are tired of that kind of thing. And if they were maybe in favor, some of those things could steer them away from it. But I did get a chance to talk with Harrison Fry from the city of Lake Ozark. And I said, you know, how did you guys take it? And he goes, well, every one of us as elected officials have, you know, different appointed elected, have different opinions. We're working on behalf of the city. And we felt like it was going to be a great thing, but it didn't pass. The people have spoken. And I said, like, well, then what's the latest with, like, Osage Nation? Like, through the grapevine, you know, the city feels as if the city, like the locals kind of feel as if the city's been way more pro Osage River Gaming with Bally Sports than they have been Osage Nation. I mean, that seems to be the case. If you remember, in December of 2023, the Osage Nation was asking for a resolution of support from the city of Lake Ozark. It was a 3-3 deadlock, yes, no, with the 6 aldermen. Mayor Newberry was the deciding no vote not to offer that resolution. And at the time, he cited, and I agree, that there wasn't enough information about just offering a resolution of support without more information from you. Right? We would want more from redevelopment as far as the gift that you're going to give annually and the things of that nature. And so, I mean, that has been 10 months. And so I found out in talking with Harrison Fry, he said, yeah, at that point in time, our city attorney sent a letter drafting the requirements, revenue share, redevelopment agreement, and things that we would request to see in order to move forward. We have yet to get that back. And so I kind of pushed back just a little bit at Administrator Fry, and I said, well, you guys, have you been proactive? Like, if you guys just left it sitting? And he says, well, sometimes, Will, when it comes to a big development and they know they're doing it, there's a lot of hoops. You know, we would let the course run itself. And so I also followed up and found out that there may be meetings coming up. This didn't come from Harrison Fry. This came from a developer I spoke with that said, you know, that may be closer to coming back on track than you believe, because in my opinion, did it not look like Osage Nation went away or didn't stop getting support outside of their donations back into the community, correct, which Administrator Fry said we appreciate, we love their continued effort and being part of the community, but we didn't hear of any conversations. We didn't hear of them having open dialogue with them, figuring out how can we assist you guys. And so hopefully that is coming closer to fruition as far as at least getting an answer there, because we know both could happen. It's not one or the other, but a lot of people felt like the city of Lake Ozark was kind of choosing one or the other. So now the election has come, millions of dollars to get this approved. I mean, the Bally and Osage River Gaming Group was confident heading into Election Tuesday. And I mean, I'm sure that was not the outcome they were anticipating. And so for them, they said that was going to bring $17 million of projected revenue to the state of Missouri. I pushed back at Mayor Newberry on Facebook and said, well, how much to actually Lake Ozark? And he said, well, $2.5 million. And so if you remember when Osage Nation first started their conversations with the city of Lake Ozark and the term of the annual gift back to the city in lieu of the tax revenue you would collect, right? Because they are a sovereign nation. They get to opt out of a lot of those things. They give an annual gift to replace some of that, right? It may be bigger than that $2.5 million. And so my point is, I would urge, and I believe after talking with Administrator Fry, they should be proactive in having conversations with Osage Nation and the other casino project, because they don't need a vote for that casino.
They just need certain dominoes to fall into place. And on that note, things are still happening behind the scenes with the Osage Nation casino project. The Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA, lead agency, intends to prepare an environmental assessment pursuant to this Osage Nation casino. And this is the 27.6 acres of free land, which is the project site right over there across from Menards, to develop what they're calling the Class 2 gaming facility. Proposed facilities include a casino with approximately 40,000 square feet of gaming floor space, food and beverage areas, service parking and support space, and a 15-story hotel tower with 150 rooms, meeting rooms, fitness center, and support space. So this is already in the works. It's already happening. After the process is complete, the Bureau of Indian Affairs may issue a determination on the proposed action, and the time period they're doing this in is right now.
Yep.
It's happening right now. It started October 17th. It goes through November 16th. It's almost done already.
Right.
Quietly, underneath, under the scenes, even while the election on the other casino was happening, this was in the works. So
And this was
don't sleep
sent-
on the Indian casino.
No, and this was sent to Lake TV after I talked with Harrison Fry. He wanted to make sure that I knew there was an environment assessment going on, as you said. So we appreciate his, and I'm telling you what a drastic difference from the city of Lake Ozark to the city of Osage Beach as far as being available and answering, even if they don't like exactly the way we covered things.
Yep.
Right? Because as we kind of close out that, we start focusing on, as far as election, we start focusing on the city of Osage Beach. So before we can even get to the hot topic of the bowl and the amusement park, look, I just found out like yesterday, looks like the outlet mall is officially sold.
Talk about being quiet and underneath everybody's radar. I hadn't even thought about it until you put out a question yesterday, on social media. Wow, there's apparently a lot happening underneath the scenes.
And do you remember? It was early August. KRMS had reported that the mall was back under contract. And so we listened to sound bites from the Board of Aldermen meeting. I believe it was August 2nd. We played them here for you on Cup of Coffee it was Alderman Hoffman who said, hey, the mall is back under contract. Let's discuss that. You got fight back from Mayor Harmison. No, well, it's not, well, no, it's important. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
It's something the community, the Board of Aldermen, well, there are discussions being had, but no. So he shut that down, did not want that to go public for whatever reason, but I've had reports from different employees, I've had reports from people who work at the mall, and I reached out to Tara Beth and Devin Lake, city administrator for City of Osage Beach. Of course, it was Monday, another government holiday. Thank you, our veterans, not downplaying the importance, but couldn't get a hold of them on Monday. And so I posted a Lake Area happenings just to kind of see, does anybody know anything? And so we had 50 claims of yes, it's true. The most general consensus, as you see some of these comments, was stores temporary are going to move into one building. The others would be torn down with new complex being built with apartments up top and stores in the bottom, kind of like Branson with more restaurants to build. Now, the mall phone, according to one comment, was rerouted to a St. Louis company. It was answered by a female claiming, yes, the new ownership is taking over, but they can't confirm when the closing will happen. And so I can't substantiate any of this. When you're blackballed from the city of Osage Beach and they won't tell you anything, and I went to the city of Osage Beach Alderman meeting Thursday, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. So I couldn't substantiate any of this, but according to all of these comments, it would look like absolutely the Osage Beach Outlet Mall has been sold, is under contract, and looks like it will close, or escrow would close on the 14th.
Okay, so we've had two that we know of, two groups that have tried to buy the mall in the past, the Foster family, and then the Pruitts, I believe, and their investors. And apparently both of those fell through. Is it one of those? Do we know who's behind
We
this?
don't know.
Okay.
And so no one will really say anything. But I did get one message that said this, and I'm not going to give this person's name. They said that you might want to talk with Chris Foster, but you should wait until after the 19th because I doubt he'll talk to you. That could have just been someone making that up. But knowing that Chris Foster was involved before, we felt like, hey, they weren't really getting the best deal from the city. And I would hope that it might be the Fosters back in play. All I know is what a great thing it would be if we saw capital and life injected back into the outlet mall.
That would be great.
We'll keep you posted on that. Now we got to hurry. We're running out of time quickly here. Everybody wants to know about the Domenico's Bowl. Well, at the Thursday, November 8th Board of Aldermen meeting. Yeah, Mayor Harmison opened up, like I promised you last Tuesday, with a 25-minute sob story. Woe is me about how mean everybody is, and you know how fake news Lake TV is, and Lake Expo's fake news, they even said. And then Alderman Osteen open with this letter he had prepared about, we're all doing the best we can. And I don't disagree with that. But we did waste 30 minutes into the meeting and then opened up with comments to locals. We got compliments from Black and White Roofing, another local applauding the planner and zoning and administrator. A lot of good being done in the city of Osage Beach. I am not going to deny that. There are some amazing things taking place. But Nathan Rennie got up and he spoke and he hit the nail on the head. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to Domenico's Bowl, and even the signs down the street from here at Harmy's Cheese Store, no one really cares that much about the bowl. And no one really cares that much about your signs. It's the principle, and they just don't get that. Why, after all this time, besides it moving, why was it now a problem besides being unsafe? No one's answered who reported it, who all of a sudden had an issue with it and then issued the first letter, the second letter, and the third letter without ever going and visiting the business owner. But the real problem is the but not me mentality is why Michael Harmison has become the subject of the scrutiny. He even said, pick up the phone and call me instead of go to Facebook and say these things. Well, I've tried. And on top of that, on May 8th, following the first fiasco when it came to the contractors, and we had our first sob story from Mayor Michael Harmison to his Board of Aldermen and the city and his constituents, I wrote a very careful email to everyone on that board saying, look, you're misunderstanding. I saw what he said. Here's why he said it. I sent them a link to the story. I let him know how much I love the city, how much we as Lake TV do for the city, and that we don't want to hurt the city. We're here to work with the city, and we may not always agree, but together, if we will communicate, we can do good. They ignored us. Every alderman, every city employee ignored us. And since that point in time, we have been blackballed, with the exception of Tara Beth, who is the communications director, does an amazing job, and the police department. But outside of that, the city of Osage Beach has essentially blackballed us. So we have to go to Lake Area happenings. We have to go to what people tell us because we don't get the information directly from the city. And at the end of the day, the woe is me mentality is making people more mad because they could have just come out and said, look, we realized there were some issues with our codes and not everyone's aware, including myself as the mayor. I've made some mistakes at my business. And so what we're going to do is consider this a learning experience. We're not going to fine them. We're not going to offer a citation. We're just going to work this out and see how we as a city can be stronger. Wouldn't have taken 30 minutes to do that. And Mayor Harmison would be everybody's favorite person right now. But that's not the case. And what's funny is that's actually the solution they're at. He said on KRMS Morning Magazine on Monday, they played clips of his alderman meeting. You can hear it where he said, hey, we're not having them come in court on the court hearing. We're not going to keep the fine and the citation. We're going to work this out amicably. So that solution is what everybody wanted. They just had to go about it in such a way that now has them literally in a PR nightmare. Yeah. And they have themselves to blame for it.
They're kind of the bad guys now after all this, which, yeah, it really does seem to be kind of crazy. They didn't think this through on the front end, I don't think.
Well, hey, so much more to cover. Looks like the Lakewood resorts are officially
those condos
closed. There was some delays in payments, but actually no. As a matter of fact, talked with Tammy Berger, and she said that Jeff Tegetthoff gave her 30 minutes on the phone and explained everything to her, and the title company is working on getting checks FedExed by Thanksgiving. And so another obstacle. Now, I talked with developer Tegetthoff, and I'm going to give you further information in next week's show. But hey, we're running out of time. So real quick, brought to you by our friends at Chris Light Co. Get ready to illuminate your lakefront paradise in 2025. Lake TV Community Spotlight, another good one this week.
Tom Gwynn, the activities director over at Osage, he fills us in on everything going on over there. So that'll be a lot of fun and very good. high school football season over for us. We've got high school basketball coming in just a few weeks for you.
That's right. Osage finishes 8-3. You talk with offense and defensive coordinator on this week's Coaches Show. Camdenton, they finish at 6-5. Great football season. Hey, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate your support. Don't forget to stop by right here, Slumberland at the lake. And when you do, tell them that Uncle Chris and Wild Will sent you.